Okay, how am I doing on time, Danny?
5 or 10 minutes.
Okay. Part of our forensic lab is also computer forensics. You can't imagine what's on your computer. And if you delete it, you think you're safe. Or if you delete it 2 or 3 times, you think you're safe. Or 4 or 5 times. We can probably uncover and recover everything that's on that computer, even if it's been deleted 3, 4, or 5 times. Attorneys use this all the time. You know, if you get a court order from somebody who's a litigant, and they access the computers and they can recover all the information on there. So be very careful on what you put on your computers that you don't want somebody to find at a later date. The technology in that industry is really getting big. One of the biggest problems, and I'm talking about cell phones again, is when we're doing our countermeasure sweeps, we've now identified over 40 different types of appliances, electrical appliances that you plug into an outlet. You know, a clock, a radio, air freshener, fax machine, power strips are very common. Anything that you plug into an outlet can have a little tiny circuit hidden inside of it, which is actually an entire cell phone. And so if somebody wanted to monitor Denny in his office, you know, you're retired so you don't have an office anymore, but if I was, you were involved in bids for the city of Indianapolis. So if I wanted to know what was going on in your office, I would switch out the power strip or a lamp or a clock or something like that in there, and then just set up an account with Verizon or Sprint, and I just call that the lamp or power strip, and I could hear all the conversations in the room. These are all accessible on the internet, all from other countries, and they ship them to the U.S. They get past customs, and so they're a huge threat, and they're almost impossible to find unless you have the right type of sweep equipment. So be careful, beware of things like that. They're even in electric pencil sharpeners. We found them in just, you know, the transformers that you use to power a 12-volt device. Let me talk about a couple of bizarre cases that we've got going. Has anybody ever heard of a STOLI, S-T-O-L-I, Stranger Originated Life Insurance? And the reason I can talk about this is because it was in the Wall Street Journal and the Indianapolis Star. The mother of Tommy Sue Hilbert, we believe, was murdered. And the reason I got really interested is because she only lived 2 blocks from me on Crystal Lake. And a gentleman by the name of J.B. Carlson, who changed his name 5 years ago, it used to be BOLF, B-O-L-F, got her insured for $15 million and made himself the beneficiary under supposedly key man insurance. And he dummied up her net worth at $42 million. Now, the insurance company bought it. He financed the premium for 30 months. And so 2 weeks before the 30-month premium was due, which is almost $800,000, he took her to the Blue Martini there on 96th Street, got her popped, took her home. Supposedly he was the last person to see her. 2 days later, this is on a Friday, 2 days later on a Sunday, they found her in her bathtub, fully clothed, drowned. The Marion County coroner did a lousy job investigating it. The police didn't find any evidence to support who they suspected. The insurance company hired us through a law firm. And so after about 1.5 years of investigation, we finally have it in the grand jury. So you're going to be reading about that. Now, STOLIs are also referred to as viatical insurance policies. Have you heard of viaticals? It's common. There's actually hedge funds that buy viatical policies, and they're on the New York Stock Exchange. Trent's my broker. I don't want any of those hedge funds. A viatical is you go to somebody who's 80 years old. There's nobody in here that's 80 years old. And who's not in very good health and poor financial straits, and you say, I'll give you $25,000 a year for the rest of your life if you allow me to insure you and make me the beneficiary. You'd be surprised how many people will take that up. Now, if you happen to live to be 95, There's a lot invested in you, so maybe somebody wants to accelerate your natural causes. So that's a big problem, and it's a huge industry in this country, and there's a lot of insurance brokers that are behind that, not real reputable insurance brokers. And Rob, you and I have talked about this before, and I know that in your industry you try to keep it policed, but it does happen. Insurance fraud is a huge problem in this country. Workers' compensation, example, somewhere between a third and maybe 40% of all workers' compensation claims are either outright fraud or highly exaggerated. And it's costing all the rest of us a lot of money. Employee theft is huge. Based on 3 different statistics, they estimate that 4.2% of the gross revenue from a company is stolen by an employee or by employees. That's a huge amount. The company's doing $1 million a year in gross revenue, 42,000 is being stolen by employees. Shoplifters are outstolen by store employees 9 to 1. Bank employees outsteal bank robbers 11 to 1. I mean, you always hear about the bank robbers and the shoplifters and all that. What about the employees? So that's an integral part of our business, and it keeps us really busy. And I've probably thrown this out to you before, but the employee theft, the shrinkage factor in the U.S. is 4.2%. Can anybody give me an estimate on what it is in Japan? Jack? Exactly right. It's their culture. The Japanese will not steal from their employers. It's socially acceptable in the U.S. apparently, and it covers the entire spectrum of our business. How am I doing on time? Okay. Want to just throw it up to questions. I'll try to answer them. Jeff. He took up an entire drawer. Yeah. Any other questions? Rob?
Talking about modern technology. The television shows, you still see when somebody's making a phone call, friends, or whatever, they're hustling and they're hoping they can get traces within however long. It would seem to me that these days they can probably trace pretty much instantaneously. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, the technology is unbelievable, and the cooperation from the phone companies and the cell phone carriers are unbelievable. The terrorists, and the drug dealers, and the criminals are all buying prepaid throwaway phones. You can go to Walmart and for $19.95 buy a track phone under a fake name and pick whatever area code you want, buy the minute cards, and after you make your illegal deals over the phone, then you throw it in the canal. So the technology is really good, but the problem is the criminals are usually one step ahead of us. Yes, Nancy? No, I really haven't. So far, I'll knock on wood, we have never had a workers' comp claim on any of our investigators. We've never been shot at, been cussed out a lot of times. None of our investigators carry weapons. We instruct them if anything gets dicey, get out, leave. One thing that kind of separates us from a lot of other investigators is that most investigators are former police. And with all due respect to the police, they do a fantastic job, but they have a police attitude. And so it takes a while for the police officer who is retired that goes to work for us to make the transition. It's illegal in our business to impersonate any kind of a law enforcement officer, any kind of a professional like a CPA or a doctor or a lawyer or any government official. But we can impersonate a dumbass. It's a natural human trait to help a dumbass. And I don't have any problems with it, right, Jim? And so if you're respectful to the people who you're working or who you're investigating, or to the witnesses of that person, and you're kind to them and you act helpless, they'll tell you everything. Tom?
On your jet, I wonder, do you have any big trees to watch it where you can communicate with somebody else?
Cell phone's the best way to do that. No, we don't have a Dick Tracy watch, but we don't have one because I don't think they're practical, but you can get a watch that has the video and audio recording capability. The only problem is you're going to hold it up like that all the time. Yeah, this thing's a lot better, or the pen or the glasses. Yes, Polly?
Jeff, what is your professional feelings or thoughts about online banking and purchasing?
Well, you better have good encryption software on your computer, good firewall. It's dangerous, but if you put your bills and your bills with your checks in your mailbox and put the flag up, you're taking a higher risk of somebody getting in and stealing that. So it can happen. Once somebody steals your identity, I mean, I could talk a whole afternoon on that. It's very, very difficult to recover your good name and your credit after somebody does that to you. It's really difficult. Yes. Most of them are good. One of our guys is a certified ethical hacker, and that's actually a professional designation. So when we go in and do a countermeasure sweep, we always bring our IT guy in there. And he's a forensic IT guy, and he looks at the computer to see if there's any hacking going on, any Trojan horses in there, any bypasses or back windows to the firewall. And then if our client engages us he'll hack the computer through his certified ethical hacking capability. And I've only found one situation where he couldn't get in the computer, and that's just because they didn't give us enough time. And then he'll write a report on how he did it and what to do to keep it from happening again. So a lot of these IT security companies are good. They're obviously better than nothing. Yes? Take the battery out, wrap it with the metal foil about 10 times. It's called a Faraday cage. Put it in another room. For your sensitive conversations, go to Walmart and buy a track phone for $19.95. There really is no protection. As far as we know, and we've been looking, there's no software that you can install on a cell phone. There's no applications you can download. And also be careful of the applications you download too, because some of those will have rootkits, which basically monitor you. So everything's different now. I mean, compared to 1970, we're light years different. Jeff? Throw it away and get another one. Or we can send it to our lab, and our lab will run a diagnostic analysis. And if we detect it on there, then we'll provide a report, and you can take that to the U.S. Attorney or the FBI, and then they can get court orders to get the evidence off your suspect's cell phone carrier and also their computer. And then they're going to jail. No. The spyware is 2 or 3 lines of code mixed in about 250,000 lines of code. So it's a needle in a haystack.
One more question. Google is getting a lot of press right now. They're getting challenged by European governments for information they're gathering through the street use weeks where we can all go look at a picture of our own house. Right. Like Google right now. What other are they gathering? You know anything about that? What they're under scrutiny for?
If I tell you, I got to kill you. Just use your imagination. Everything is capable, and I'm sure they're cooperating with our government. We haven't had another 9/11, and I hope we never do. And I think it's because our government is up to security, and we've lost some rights and all that. We could get into a whole different conversation, but thank God it hasn't happened again. Thank you.
As always, some of our best speakers are members of our club. So Tim, we thank you very much. In recognition for being here today, we have a book plate here that we'll put on a book going to Harshman Middle School for the Children's Library. I have your name on it. So
Great, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Danny.
Good job.